our San Diego Padres suddenly find themselves in first place. And it's not even a tie. It's all theirs. It's them alone right now at the top.
This is the first time this season, correct?
I don't remember how April went. I know we were 15-4 and San Francisco was hot. The Dodgers were playing good. And like everyone was talking about like how amazing the NL West is. And a lot of that conversation has subsided, not necessarily because the Padres and Dodgers have fallen off, but because the Giants have fallen off and the Diamondbacks have fallen off. If you didn't get out of the gate hot this year, it was hard to catch up and keep up. And that's the one thing to give the Padres credit for, is that they came out of the gate firing on all cylinders. Then they kind of played 500 ball for a couple months, got through the All-Star break, and now they appear to be in a good position after the trading deadline here to maybe win this division. However, in order to win the division, you must get through the Dodgers, and as you can see, it's an odd sight to see the LA Blue in second place, Nika.
We've seen it all season long on the top. Now it's in the second place. But don't discount the Dodgers.
No, this season is far from over.
Exactly.
There are, if you do the math there, it looks like we are at about the 123 game mark. You do a little subtraction, that means there's 39 games left. And that would put us at about a quarter of a season. There's 40 games-ish in a quarter of a season. I think 40 and a half if you were to do the official math. And there's no half games, obviously. So, 39 games, that's a quarter of the Major League Baseball season. And 6 of those 39 games are going to come against these Los Angeles Dodgers. And that is starting tomorrow night. So
big weekend.
We have first place alone by ourselves, and I'm going to enjoy it today. Today is my birthday, so happy birthday to me. Thank you, Padres, for giving me this first place gift. Now, all I ask is for you to hang on to it for 6 more weeks. You can do it.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. We have to think like this.
No, this is sooner than expected, I think. I was hopeful that when the Padres made the moves that they made at the deadline, that they might be able to put themselves in a position to catch the Dodgers. And thankfully, the Dodgers have not been playing very well of late, and we are on the Mike Schilt traditional second half push. More on that in a second. And things are aligning well. Now we just have to beat them. We play them 6 times over the next 10 days.
Okay. Do you think this is the right time for a team, not just the Padres, any team, to get hot? Or is there enough time for them to cool off and not be able to pick up?
It's a good question. I feel like you see what the Brewers are doing right now. They are now 31 games over 500. That's just amazing. And, like the Padres here, 17, just to put it into perspective. So I don't know. I that's my one concern if I'm a Brewers fan, is like, oh, this is great and I'm loving this, but are we peaking too soon? And so this is not about the Brewers, but you can make the same argument in a sense about the Padres. And I guess I'll just say, I don't know.
Okay. What's a fair answer? I think last year we saw this similar ramp up, and yet we also saw the last 24 innings go scoreless, and everyone knows what happened. We had that series for the taking, and our bats didn't show up for the final 2 games. Hopefully it's a new season and new mentality.
Yes, exactly. But to your point, did we run out of steam last year, or did we just, like you've always argued, stop playing our brand of baseball?
I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Well, Sammy Levitt here with the tweet. The Padres were 9 games back of the Dodgers for first place entering July 4th. That's crazy. This is that's like 5 weeks ago. That's not even a full 6. Less than 6 weeks later, the Padres now sit alone in first place in the NL West. So, yes, it's only by a game, but
I know.
That is a big turnaround in a short amount of time, and it's also a warning shot, right? Like, look how quickly things can change.
Absolutely.
So it's no time to let up at all, and I don't think the Padres are in let up mode, because
they know what management did at the trading deadline, bringing in all these pieces, and it excited the locker room.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about some other teams today throughout the day in different segments, but I do not overestimate what bringing in pieces that a team knows that they need at the deadline does to the morale of that team and that locker room. It sends a message to the players that we're going for it. Mm-hmm. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's not like a halfway or the Padres went all in, and everyone knows it. And that's what everyone on TV has been saying since they did it. Is like also, the Padres are going for it. So absolutely. The players on that team, they're bought in now too. I'm on a championship team, and we're going for it.
Yes, there was no wishy-washy. They sold the farm, whatever they needed to do to solidify this team for this season, not to wait what's going to happen in 5 years when the prospects are
I've made the argument, the Dodgers are spending like drunken sailors in the offseason, and good for them. Yeah. No disrespect. You can spend. The Padres, they decided after Peter Seidler died that they don't want to spend like that anymore, and they can't afford to. And so they've had to spend money in other ways in order to keep up with the Dodgers. And that includes cashing in draft capital at the trading deadline. And they've done it now 3 of the last 4 years to make moves that they felt were necessary to keep up with the spending of the Dodgers.
Absolutely. Those are the 2 ways that you spend during the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Cash or your poker chips, which is your prospects.
Exactly. So I give AJ Preller all the credit in the world for having the guts and the balls to cash in those chips.
Yeah, for all the other GMs that are envious of it. Do your jobs.
Yeah, I agree. We'll talk a lot about some of those other teams more today. But for now, let's flip it to this next slide here with Jeff Passan and Bob Nightingale. I got them sharing the stage here. Jeff Passan showing the division leaders on June 14th and now August 14th. And there's a lot of changes in there, Nika. The Padres have overtaken the Dodgers. The Brewers, of course, have overtaken the Cubs. The Phillies have overtaken the Mets. So all 3 National League divisions have seen a change at the top since June 14th. The American League has seen less change, though the Astros are now only just a game or maybe a game and a half above the Mariners, because I think the Mariners are about to lose their Thursday afternoon matinee game in Baltimore.
It's a raining delay.
Okay, so and it looks like it's 5-0 Orioles, and so we'll see how that one ends up today. But the Astros feeling pretty good, but they also got to be feeling the heat a little bit, because the Mariners, before these 2 losses, had won 8 in a row. The American League Central, this graphic doesn't show it, but the Tigers, there is an outside chance for the Guardians to catch the Tigers. Just much similar way to the fact that the Tigers didn't catch Cleveland last year, but they did catch them in the sense that they wound up beating them in the playoffs.
So it's a similar situation.
And then, of course, we've seen the mighty Yankees topple, and we've talked a little bit about that already. But the Blue Jays now seem to be in control of the American League East, though I would not count out the Red Sox either at this point.
No.
Especially with their iPad game being what it is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Inside joke there. But Bob Nightingale had this to say about the Padres, who have gained 10 games on the Dodgers in 35 games. Enter their weekend series against LA in first place. It's the latest in a season they've been in first since 2010.
It's been a while.
Wow.
15 years.
15 years since it's just been this late in the season. And I believe the last time they won the NL West was 2006. So that is just crazy talk for anybody in a division, to be honest.
So they are due.
They're due, but I'd also like to see a little bit more consistency, too, in the winning of the division as we go forward. But yeah, first things first, let's win the division this year. Let's do it. One person who doesn't get enough credit for the Padres being in the position that they are now in is their head coach, their manager, Mike Schilt. And I saw this tweet from Chris Ello, who is one half of the Chris and Gwynn show on 97.3 The Fan in San Diego. And it said, quote, "He's the real Padres closer. Mike Shilt's record down the stretch in each of his full manager seasons." And Nika, we've talked about Mike Shilt's second half performance in the past, but let's just look at it again and illustrate it here for people so that it's crystal clear what they're dealing with. You can see St. Louis in 2019. That was his first year as a full-time coach.
Okay.
He took over in 2018, but 2019 was his first full season as manager, and they were 50-47 before finishing 41-24. So you look at that adds up to 91 wins, doesn't it? You see in 21. We skipped 2020 because of COVID, by the way, though the Cardinals did play the Padres, ironically, in the 2020 playoffs. You might remember Fernando Tatis having a 2-home run game against the Cardinals in the playoffs that year. That was against his future manager, Mike Shildt. Wow. But 2021, the Cardinals were 55-56 at one point before turning it on at the end and finishing 35-16. And I believe they had won like 17 or 18 games in a row at one point down the stretch, right? So that was pretty crazy. And then Mike Shildt got ceremoniously fired after this, and he was kind of blindsided by that. Had no idea that he was about to get fired after a huge finish.
Yeah, that was a big surprise.
And we're grateful for it here in San Diego because it allowed us to be in a position to hire him last year. And you can see last year they were 50-50 before finishing 43-19. Pretty damned impressive. And then this year they were 55-49, 6 games over 500, and now currently on a 14-3 run, which has put them 17 games over. Phenomenal stuff here, but you can see this is a pattern with Mike Shildt teams.
Yeah.
So you cannot call this an accident anymore. And, you know, we roasted Greg Amsinger last week for not including Mike Shildt in his top managers of 2025 list. And this is one of the reasons why. It's because not just for this year's body of work, but also for last year and for being known as the second half manager who is going to get the most out of his players down the stretch. And it's a quality. And so he was overlooked on Greg's list, and it's a shame.
Yes,
you know,
it is.
Mike Shildt deserves more credit for this. Early on in the year, there were articles and news breaking about Shildt ball being a thing and like having this moniker attached to their brand of baseball that the Padres do play. And after they kind of cooled off in May, June, and early, you know, maybe some of July, you didn't hear so much about Shildt ball anymore, right? But now we're getting hot again. I wonder if we're going to see that moniker come back. Anyways, I just thought this was a great mention here by Chris Ello about a reminder that Mike Shildt generally does well in the second half. And even though there's a quarter of a season to go, I'll take my chances with this right now.
Well, typically the second half of the season after the All-Star belongs to the managers more so than the players.
Absolutely. All right. Well, without further ado, Nika, let's get into it. We have from Sammy Levitt, the voice of the Padres radio. Here are the pitching matchups for this weekend series in LA. And then next weekend we'll be at Petco Park in San Diego. So, but here are the pitching matchups for this weekend, Nika. It is on Friday night, Michael King versus Clayton Kershaw. So we got the old man for the Dodgers on the mound, who has been pretty good lately. He's having a much better season this year than last season. I cannot deny that. So tip of the cap to Clayton Kershaw for getting it back together. He's been valuable.
Yeah.
Michael King is making his second start back from the injured list. And looking back on it now, I kind of feel like the Padres specifically started him on the day that they did last Saturday so that he would be ready for this start on Friday night in LA to kick off this series. Saturday, we have Dylan Cease, who's been much improved lately for the Padres, going up against Blake Snell, who is making just his second start since being back from the injured list. Now, his first one was pretty damn impressive, 5 innings pitched with 10 strikeouts. But this is also going to be Blake's first time pitching against the Padres since he was on their team in 2023, Nika. And we've always been talking about this moment, you and I, and now it's finally here. And the one thing that I would be worried about if I was a Dodgers fan with Blake in this matchup is his psyche.
Of course.
and that's just coming from experience and seeing it on the other end.
Of course. And also he's going to be facing some of the teammates he used to have.
Yes.
Not all of them, but some, like Tatis, Machado, Cronenworth,
yes.
Bogarts. They all still at the Padres.
Absolutely. So, they went to war together, and they've been cordial in the times that they've spent on the opposing dugouts, but they've never faced each other yet. And
right.
I'm curious to see Blake respond in this situation because, in my opinion, he has not always performed the best under pressure. Sometimes he has, though. He's pitched well in playoff games, but he will drive you crazy. And I expect the Padres to be patient against him, actually. I think that's going to be the MO to beating him.
And that's a Saturday game. So
let him beat himself, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Well,
and then
we'll see how that one goes. And then we got a
Sunday,
Yu Darvish and Tyler Glasnow. So a couple things stand out at me here. The Padres get their top three pitchers, at least from the preseason, before the season started. We get our top three pitchers going. I don't think anyone would have argued Michael King, Dylan Cease, and Yu Darvish were the anchor of this pitching staff going into the season.
What about the Dodgers? Where did they fall on their totem pole?
Well, I just thought it was interesting that we missed Ohtani. He pitched last night in Anaheim, and then we were also missing Yamamoto. So we don't get either one of them.
But we might get him on the back end.
We might, but you also have to remember, we're not going to see both of them because they're going to be pitching in the games that in between these series. There's games in between these two series.
Yeah.
So LA will have to play next week against somebody. I think they play the Rockies.
Tune-up games.
Well, maybe. Sometimes the playing down to your competition is a bad thing.
True.
But anyways, Yamamoto and Ohtani will both pitch after that. So we may not see Ohtani. I think Dave Roberts was quoted last night, if I saw this correctly, as saying Ohtani is scheduled to pitch next Wednesday against the Rockies. And right now the plan is for him to do that. But notice he said the plan. The plan can change. And if the Dodgers get beat this weekend, they might go to Ohtani and say, like, hey, can we hold you back a day so we can get some psychological warfare on our arch rivals over there in San Diego, maybe win that first game and put us in a chance to win the series. Okay. But we'll wait and see how this weekend goes. Nika, any predictions before we leave our audience and bid them adieu?
I hope they take 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
the Pods.
I see 2 out of 3 for sure. That Saturday game is like the one I cannot predict, because I just don't know if anybody knows which Blake Snell we're going to see. Are we going to see someone sharp and poised? Well, I think we're going to see a good Dylan Cease. We've seen one. He's got to confront some demons from the playoffs at Dodger Stadium. But, at the same time, it's just another regular season game, and he's been in his routine, and he's been in a good groove lately. So I'm going to choose to believe in that.
Yeah.
Same thing with Yu Darvish. He's been really sharp. And the one thing that I like is that the Dodgers have not seen Michael King yet this year. He did not pitch against them in June. So at least that gives us a little bit of an edge. Whereas Machado, Tatis, they're familiar with Clayton Kershaw for sure. Xander Bogaerts, those guys, they're all familiar with his game. But yeah, I do see the Padres taking 2 out of 3 here. And, I'm going to leave with this thought. I feel like we are witnessing the changing of the guard in Southern California right now.
I hope you're not speaking too soon.
The Dodgers are not going to go away by any means, but we've sort of pointed out their age and they're getting older. And I'm not saying that they're not going to pull together and give this playoff run a good shot, but next year, Freddie Freeman will be another year older. Mookie Betts will be another year older. And we've already seen how these long seasons can take a toll on both of them this year. Ohtani's going to be another year older. And we'll be getting into that point where he's at the end of his prime years, at least according to what the data tells us historically. So yeah, this is an important series for the Dodgers, and it's an important series for the Padres because it could decide the future of this division for a long time. And I'm not just talking about this weekend, but next weekend and who ultimately prevails in this division and in this postseason. But I think winning the division gives you a big upper hand. That's for sure. I think the Padres would rather be playing games at Petco Park in October than Dodger Stadium with the whole thing on the line like it was last year.
I take that.